Welcome back to The Making of Her. In the last episode, we talked about why women in healthcare are always on, right? The vigilance, the readiness, the internal alert system that never fully powers down. Now, today I want to talk about what fuels that constant state, because most women in healthcare are not exhausted from the work alone. They are exhausted from the holding of emotion, the holding of fear, the holding of tension, expectation, and that unspoken responsibility. This is the emotional labor tax that nobody has trained you for, nor do they formally acknowledge, but your body does. What is emotional labor? Let's define that properly first. See, emotional labor is not empathy. It is not kindness, and it's not being caring. Emotional labor is the management of other people's emotional states, often to keep systems running smoothly. In healthcare, that looks like regulating a patient's anxiety while staying clinically focused, absorbing frustration, softening bad news while maintaining authority, managing staff morale alongside outcomes, and carrying that unspoken tension so others don't have to. And none of this actually appears on your schedule, but all of it costs you energy. And when that energy is continuously expended, your system begins to deplete quietly. Why do women carry more of it? And this is where gender matters, whether the system admits it or not. See, women in healthcare are often expected to be emotionally attuned. They're expected to be relationally responsive. They are supposed to be approachable, reassuring. So even in identical roles, women tend to carry more of this responsibility. You're not just treating the patient. You are often calming the room down. You're reading those emotional cues. You're adjusting your tone. You're even preventing discomfort before it surfaces. And that work is subtle, but it is so constant. And because it's not formally assigned, women internalize it as their responsibility, which means that there is no clear end point. There is no charts we're closing, no tasks we're completing, no check boxes that are being marked, just ongoing emotional vigilance. Why does this lead to exhaustion and not satisfaction, right? Here's the paradox. See, most women in healthcare care deeply about their patients. But that emotional labor doesn't create fulfillment when it's unbounded. It creates fatigue because your nervous system cannot distinguish between compassion that is chosen and emotional labor that is assumed. When care becomes obligation, it drains rather than nourishing. That is why women say, I love my patients, but I am so exhausted by people. This does not mean that you're burnt out on care. It just means that your system is overloaded from carrying too much of that unacknowledged emotional weight. And then there is this silent expectation to be okay. Here's another layer, right? Women in healthcare are often expected to be emotionally available, but emotionally contained. You know what I mean. You're allowed to be empathetic, but you're not allowed to be overwhelmed. Human, but not affected. So then where does all of that emotion go, right? Into the body. Unprocessed emotional labor does not disappear. It shows up as irritability. It shows up as numbness, as exhaustion, shortened patience, loss of joy. And a lot of times it shows up in your health, not because you're failing, because your system has been carrying what it was not meant to hold on to alone. And then there is the fact that no amount of self-care is going to fix this. Why? This is important. See, emotional labor fatigue is not solved by a bubble bath, or a glass of wine, or a vacation, or even better time management, right? Because the issue here isn't rest. it is containment. Without clear emotional boundaries, your nervous system stays porous, and porous systems leak energy. They absorb all the bad stuff and leak energy. You can rest all you want, but if you return to the same emotional overextension, that fatigue comes back. This is why so many women feel, I rested, but like nothing changed, because nothing changed structurally. Here's what needs to happen. You need to reclaim emotional sovereignty in medicine. Here's the reframe. You can be compassionate without carrying everything. Emotional sovereignty means you recognize what is yours to hold and then release what isn't. It means allowing patients to have emotions without absorbing them, allowing staff to struggle without fixing it for them, allowing discomfort without immediately smoothing it. This is not coldness. This is leadership. See, emotionally regulated leaders don't absorb emotion. They create containers for it. And when you stop carrying what is not yours to carry, your energy returns. Nothing dramatic about it. It just comes back quietly and sustainably. Now, if this episode resonated with you, here's what I want you to know. Your exhaustion makes sense. You have been paying an emotional tax that was never acknowledged. But awareness is that first step towards recalibration. You don't need to care less. That's not what I'm saying. You need to carry less. And that shift, that is what changes everything. I will see you next time.